May the 10th, 2024. Guys, it has been 20 years plus since we've had a G4 magnetic storm, or geomagnetic storm, and now we've had a G5. Totally unexpected. Power systems, widespread voltage control problems, and protective systems problems can occur. Some grid systems may experience complete collapse or blackouts. Transformers may experience damage. Spacecraft operations may experience extensive surface charging, problems with orientation, uplink, downlink, and tracking satellites. Watch out, Elon. Other systems, pipeline currents can reach hundreds of amps. High-frequency radio propagation may be impossible in many areas for 1 to 2 days. Satellite navigation may be degraded for days. Low-frequency radio navigation may be out for hours, and auroras have been seen as low as Florida and southern Texas, typically 40 degrees geomagnetic latitude. Now, what we're looking at, we'll scale this down, is the chart we see all the time, our density, solar wind speed, and temperature. Let's pull back up here right now. What we've seen is a southward turn in the geomagnetic stream coming from the sun, guys. And when that happens, you see this red, it went south, basically. It created an opening in our shields, in our magnetopause. And when that happens, there's a lot more energy that penetrates that down into the ionosphere. But that's what you're seeing right there. This is, again, a crack in the shields. A couple other things that are happening that I've never seen. One is this one. I told you that we very seldom saw 100 in a chart for the anticipated plasma density. That's the energy in the storm, of course, combined with the heat and the speed. But they now went from 100 to 1,000 on the tip of this range. And the reason is just there were spikes, like right there. There is, let me get it, 173.39. So they immediately had to upgrade it because it jumped over 100. This is very high density, still maintaining quite a bit of energy. Now, it was kind of jumping around erratic all through this section until right there we saw kind of a straight line uptick. Let me pull this chart up just a little bit so we can see the timestamp involved. Right there, hold on. Now, what I'm noticing about this is that we, again, right here, this is, notice your timestamp at the bottom. On the 10th, we're getting right in here, and when we get to the peak of this, we're at 1400 hours. See right here, 1401. And that is the first kind of hard wall rise that wasn't drifting up and down. It's kind of an impact point. Same thing happened below that in the solar wind. We saw it here and in the temperature. But remember this number at 1400 hours, right in there, because this was inducing ground currents in the northern hemisphere big time. At 1400 hours, it knocked CERN offline. It reminds me of the verse about no power formed against us. But CERN relies heavily, or they are entangled heavily with ground currents in the northern hemisphere, and they've been off the charts since the storm started. Now, they have put another CME on the model, and we're going to take a look at it. I was going to go a little more detailed on this video, guys. I'm watching a couple other things, and it's been quite a long day, but I'm going to try to get to the important parts. Our solar wind speed is still elevated, 758. Again, 900 is 2 million miles per hour, and that's what they were anticipating. We're not through with this yet. This could last through the weekend. I don't remember a G05 magnetic storm or a G5 magnetic storm. I'd have to look back and go back through some of the history of this. Now, what they're saying is severe geomagnetic storm update. It's the first of 6 CMEs that were hurled toward Earth by the giant sunspot AR 3664, and they hit our planet's magnetic field today. The impact at 1645 UT jolted magnetometers around the world and sparked a severe G4 class geomagnetic storm. But guys, since this article, it is now a G5. The storm is underway now. More CMEs are following close behind, and their arrival could extend the storm into the weekend. This is Friday, 6:46 p.m. Central as I'm reading this. Again, the other side of the planet, they're seeing auroras. Look at this red one, guys. We've heard about these red skies. The ongoing storm is producing low-latitude auroras in the southern hemisphere. This is from Ken James. He sends this picture from the Snake Valley Observatory in Victoria, Australia. The red, yellow, and green colors were easily visible with my naked eye, he said. Readers in the U.S., and listen, guys, check this out, should note that the southern latitude of Victoria, Australia, 37 degrees, is the same as the northern latitude of Central California. That's how far down auroras could be seen if it were dark instead of daylight in North America. But this is an ongoing storm. So they could possibly be seen in North Carolina. I'll show you a chart. Now, I saw Fox Carolina put this up earlier this afternoon. It's called the Northern Light Forecast. Visible is in the green. Low on the horizon is down at the blue edge. But you can see Greenville, almost into Texas there, probably in the up around Wichita Falls area, all the way through Vancouver, all the way through Halifax. You guys in Washington, New York, in Massachusetts, check it out. If you got clear skies, it may be a once-in-a-lifetime event. I think it's pretty cool, but we got a lot of energy being involved in this lights, and it's called underground currents in the northern hemisphere. Let's take a look at that. Now let's take a quick look at the updated tracker, guys. What they've done is add that secondary one, and you can see this. We now have two loops behind the initial impact right there. You can see how they're tracking it. The very last one coming in, it's not that strong, but what it's going to do is extend the pressure on our magnetosphere. And notice how the radial velocity is extended. It doesn't drop back down when the plasma density does because of the ongoing storm. So from the impact point we saw earlier, look at this. This thing is going to taper down all the way to the 15th, and we're just on the 10th. So that's a long time for our geomagnetic system to be under pressure, especially our magnetosphere. Now, guys, the video may seem a little chopped up because I was recording different things and I'm piecing it all together. This is our magnetopause. This is pressure coming in. You can tell it's coming in from the sun side on the left. The dot in the center is white and black. The black is the nighttime side. We are in the white side throughout the afternoon today. It's still daylight here. It is 7:26 p.m. Central Time as I'm doing this now. Again, this is the pressure. This is very intense, wave after wave. And look at the tailing in right here. Check that out. The shields protect us. We would be like Mars or worse if we did not have these shields. What happens is the stronger the solar wind is, the more powerful our shields become because they're feeding off that energy in it. What it does is make it in the relationship between our shields. A lot of it has to do with what's called our plasmasphere, but when it senses an incoming increase in solar wind and solar energy, the shield and the plasmasphere expands, and that is our shield. If it was not peeling back, like you're seeing it here and here, our atmosphere would be gone. There would be no life on this planet at all. It's like a symbiotic relationship almost. Look at that. Again, it senses pulses coming in. It strengthens the field. It's like an automatic relationship going on here. And again, in God's perfect design and balance. But again, this is very hot energy. If you haven't seen them before, they usually look nothing like this. But again, we're in a G5 storm. No one expected that. The auroras could be very surprising tonight. So, guys, on the East Coast, you're at about 8:30 as I'm speaking. You start looking north. Now, let's go back for a moment to the ground energy. I think it's very important because this affects the quakes, the volcanoes, and it looks like CERN. This is Geospace Delta B, North America. Notice your timestamp at the right. This is pulsing energy in the ground as these solar waves are coming in. The energy's in the right. Look, it's peaked at over 400 nanoteslas. Again, delta B, that's what they call this. This is geospace delta B global. There's one of my huskies playing. Notice the U.S. Now that dark band reaches across the North Atlantic, that loop that dipped down right into the area that CERN is. Then you see the Pacific, guys, absorbing a tremendous amount of energy. Look at the currents there. Will that affect this hurricane season? Because El Nino has not yet slowed down. They're expecting it to sometimes in May, earlier June. But right now there's a lot of ground energy. Now this is looking at both the poles, the North Pole, the South Pole on the right. And we're still dealing with geospace delta B. And notice that's Florida right there. And then below that is Mexico. This is where the energy is pulsing. If you go straight across from Canada, you're in the area where CERN is. Let me play this through. But the South Pole is on the other side, and these correlate somewhat to where the auroras are going to be. Remember, possibly as far down as the North Carolinas. Now, this is, again, time-stamped this afternoon. And look at the energy pulsing across North America, all the way around it. And I've always said that CERN takes advantage of this. I think they use it to help generate energy. It looks like it may have backfired. I don't know how long. They're saying tomorrow they can be back up. It depends on if there was any damage done other than just the overheating. We'll have to wait and see. But this is what we're dealing with. These are all record numbers as far as what I'm familiar with. And we didn't have technology like this, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, so there's not a lot of records to go back and look at it. But remember the G4 storm, again, I hate to say it again, was hasn't happened in a long time, but now we're at a G5. I wanted to share some of the information I was looking at, especially the CERN info, and kind of going into the details how these magnetic lines of force transfer the energy you're watching into the ground. We're watching it, guys. I haven't seen any major quakes yet. Maybe we won't. It's a heads up. Be safe.